The Puri Jagannath Temple is a massive feat of 12th century masonry, yet its assembly represents a significant logistical puzzle for modern engineers. The complex covers over 400,000 square feet, surrounded by fortifications 20 feet high. Its existence required quarrying, transporting, and stacking millions of tons of stone long before the advent of modern heavy machinery. Despite this physical scale, we have no surviving architectural ledgers or mathematical blueprints. The technical records detailing how these stones were raised simply do not exist. With the engineering data lost to time, we are left to decode the temple's construction through the only documentation that remains, its foundational myths. Inside the inner sanctum, the temple presents a religious anomaly. While classical Hindu deities are typically meticulously carved from stone or cast in metal, the central figures here are carved from wood. These wooden figures also possess an unusual, unrefined appearance. They feature smooth, stump-like limbs and massive circular eyes, a stark, geometric contrast to the intricate realism found in traditional Indian sculpture. This raises a central question. How did such abstract, non-traditional figures become the focal point of such a massive, classical stone structure? To find the answer, we have to look at the genesis of the legend surrounding their creation. Legend tells of King Indradyamna, who searched the continent for the specific sacred wood needed to carve his divine idols. The king eventually encountered a mysterious carpenter, traditionally identified as the divine architect Vishwakarma in disguise, who offered to perform the task. The carpenter set a strict condition. He was to be locked inside the inner sanctum for 21 days to work in total isolation. If he was disturbed for any reason, the work would end immediately. Within the narrative of the temple's history, this element explains why the methods used within the inner sanctum were never documented or witnessed by the public. The story of the locked door functions as a protective layer, shielding the specific artisanal secrets of the temple's original craftsmen from historical scrutiny. Driven by the sudden silence from within the sanctum, the king eventually broke the pact and forced the doors open before the 21 days were up. The carpenter had vanished, leaving the wooden figures in the unarticulated state we see today. This mythological mistake aligns with the physical history of the region. These figures reflect the ancient traditions of local communities who carved their sacred icons from wood in these abstract shapes long before the stone temple was built. The legend of the impatient king provided a way to integrate this indigenous, tribal design into the framework of a grand classical temple. The exterior engineering requirements for the main spire are equally complex. This wireframe plots stone weight against known 12th century limits. The massive Amalaka capstone sits at the peak. Reaching over 200 feet required an upward force stretching the limits of ancient pulley systems. In the absence of a technical explanation for how these blocks were hoisted, local lore attributes the feat to divine intervention. Where the exact mechanics of ancient engineering remain unclear, mythology often serves as the primary record for how the impossible was achieved. These traditions remain active today during the Ratha Yatra festival, where massive wooden structures are constructed from scratch every year. This annual construction reinforces the specific wooden identity of the deities, presenting their abstract forms as an intentional, celebrated heritage. The collective effort required to move these chariots through the crowds today offers a living parallel to the massive human labor that was once required to build the temple itself. While the stone temple is static, the rituals ensure its design and purpose are continuously revisited and reinforced by the community. We may never find the original blueprints for the Puri Jagannath Temple. 12th century engineers used techniques that remain a mystery to us, but the logic of their work, the reason for every stone and every wooden idol, was preserved through the stories passed down by those who used the temple. In this way, the myths surrounding the temple functioned as a reliable archive. They kept the identity and history of the site intact long after the physical records had disappeared.